Have you ever gotten exactly what you wanted and felt nothing? Not relief, not joy, just silence. We're taught that emptiness means we haven't achieved enough yet, so we push harder. We tell ourselves the finish line is just a little further away. But what if the finish line was never the problem? What if the running was the problem? This is Saitama. He is, by every measurable standard, the strongest being alive. And this is Miyamoto Musashi, a man who became a legend by turning his entire existence into a blade. Two different stories, two different genres, one devastating shared truth. Total mastery of a single goal can quietly destroy everything else that makes you human. Let's talk about the trap of being the strongest. Musashi didn't start as a legend. He started as a wound. A boy so afraid of being unimportant, so terrified of dying meaninglessly, that he made a single decision. I will become the greatest swordsman who ever lived. Nothing else matters. Notice that phrase. Nothing else matters. That's not ambition. That's amputation. He cut away friendship. He cut away rest. He cut away the part of himself that could sit in a room and simply exist without needing to prove something. And maybe you've done this too. Maybe not with a sword. Maybe with a job, a body, a bank account, a degree. Somewhere along the way you decided, if I just become the best at this one thing, I'll finally be safe. I'll finally be enough. So you disappeared into it. You skipped the dinner. You missed the call. You told yourself later so many times that later stopped meaning anything. Now look at Saitama. His struggle is almost the mirror opposite, and somehow identical. He trained until he broke through the ceiling of struggle itself. He became so strong that every fight ends in one punch. And what did that get him? No rival, no fear, no tension, no feeling. Because struggle isn't just an obstacle to overcome. Struggle is where meaning is manufactured. When you remove all resistance from a goal, you don't get paradise. You get a vacuum. This is the quiet horror both of these stories are pointing at. Musashi sacrificed his humanity to reach the top. Saitama lost his sense of purpose once he got there. Different roads. Same isolation waiting at the end. And maybe that's the part that scares you most. Not failing, but succeeding and discovering there's no one left standing beside you to share it with. The turning point for Musashi doesn't happen in a duel. It happens in stillness. He sees a farmer. Ordinary. Unremarkable. Planting rice, season after season, with no glory attached to any of it. And for the first time, Musashi feels something unfamiliar. Envy. Not for the man's skill. For his peace. He begins to understand something devastating. He had mistaken intensity for meaning. He thought a life fully consumed by one obsession was a life fully lived. But a life can be full of effort and still be empty of connection. This is where Stoic philosophy quietly enters the frame. The Stoics believed in dichotomy of control. The idea that peace comes not from mastering the world, but from mastering your relationship to the world. Musashi tried to control everything through strength. The farmer had already made peace with what he couldn't control. That's not weakness. That's wisdom Musashi spent his whole life running from. Saitama's shift is subtler, almost invisible if you're not paying attention. He starts letting people in, not because they make him stronger, because they make him feel something again. Genos, king. Bonds that have nothing to do with power. This echoes a different philosopher entirely, Nietzsche. Specifically, his idea of amor fati, the love of one's fate. Not resignation, not passive acceptance, but an active embrace of your life exactly as it is, including its anticlimax, its silence, its lack of a worthy rival. Saitama's peace doesn't come from finding a stronger opponent. It comes from accepting that maybe strength was never supposed to be the source of his meaning at all. Meaning was supposed to come from somewhere else the whole time. From presence. From people. From the parts of life that don't show up on a scoreboard. Both men had to sacrifice the same illusion. That being the best at one thing could substitute for being whole as a person. It can't. It never could. So here's the question underneath all of this. What are you sacrificing right now? In the name of becoming the strongest version of something? Maybe it's not a sword. Maybe it's a career, a physique, a reputation. But ask yourself honestly, is this goal making your life richer? Or is it slowly making your life smaller? Here is the one shift worth carrying with you. Strength, success, mastery, these are supposed to be instruments, not identities. The moment a goal becomes the only thing that defines you, you stop living a life and start performing a function. You don't need to abandon ambition. Musashi didn't. Saitama didn't. But you do need to leave room. Deliberate, protected, sacred room. For the people, the stillness, and the small, unimpressive moments that don't build your legacy, but are your life. Because in the end, being undefeated means nothing if there's no one left to tell about it.